Welcome. The following technical support video will show you how to send a completely separated file, similar to the one that you would use in screen printing, through the MultiRIP GP direct-to-garment RIP software. First thing that I want to show you and notice is in Photoshop you'll have your layers, which I have 3 layers, one of a background and 2 of my actual graphics, and then I also have a tab for channels. Click on the channels, you notice you'll have the separated file is currently in an RGB format, and that there are several other channels down here which are typically used on the screen printing side. The ones that I really want to focus on are the white base channel and the white highlight channel. So what I will want to start off doing, I do with every one of my graphics, I want to check the mode and size. I prefer to print in RGB because it gives me better colors in CMYK, and it's in RGB mode, as you can tell right over here. And then what I want to do is I want to go down and check the image size. I need to make sure the image will print on the printer I'm using. The maximum print area I have in width is 12.5. Can't print it that wide. This graphic only needs to be 10.5, so we'll go ahead and change it. You want to make sure the constraint proportions is on there to keep it all proportional. Once we have it changed there, I'll also uncheck the constrained proportions and change the resolution of the graphic. I want to print it at 150 dpi. So once we do that, it'll go ahead and apply this. One other thing I want to make sure I do is that my graphic size, I also want it to be put onto a template that will print to the size of my platen on my direct-to-garment machine. So the way we'll do that is we'll go up to Image, and we'll go down to Canvas Size. Currently the canvas size is 10.5 by 11.267, which is the size of our graphic. I'm going to change that to 12.5 by 16. We'll go ahead and hit OK. It'll now begin to change that size, and you'll see that the graphic is a little bit smaller on the overall ratio. But this will allow me to grab my file and be able to position it wherever I want on the shirt, depending on which layer I want to move. I'm going to go ahead and join both of these layers together, so it'll allow me to move them. I can go ahead and get rid of my black layer. It's not something that I necessarily need in this case. So I'll move it right up to there. Now that I have that, what I want to do is I want to print the different layers in the right order to the RIP. You need to send the white base layer first, then send the white highlight layer, and then send the color layer. So here's the way we're going to do this. First thing we're going to do is we're going to check the white base layer and make sure everything else is unchecked. That'll give us our grayscale background right there. That'll allow us to print where we want it to go itself. We'll go up to the top, go File, go down to Print. We're going to choose the MRGP with white ink, click Properties, and go into Advanced. You'll see our platen size is 12.5 by 16, which we set our paper to. And we'll choose whatever print quality setting you want to choose, and that's something you'll have to determine based on the graphic, the amount of color that's being dropped down, the profiling, color settings you have, and other things. We'll leave that as fine. Then we're going to scroll down. We want to go and run this with photo normal compared to vivid darker because it just gives us better skin tones gradients across the board. The first thing we want to do is change our white layer type. We're going to change that to white mask layer soft. The soft will allow you to send a graphic white underbase based on the grayscale percentage, similar like we had. If we chose the white mask hard, it actually put down 100% pixel for every color ink. And that's not necessarily giving us the best looking design. You can choose the number of color and white passes depending on your printer. Talk with your manufacturer about that itself. You can choose what RGB or CMYK source profile. Since we know this graphic is RGB and it's got a lot of reds and blues in it, I'd actually prefer to run mine on NTSC 1953. But you can try and play with the different ones. Color match RGB is also good as well. We'll go ahead and determine what type of shirt we're going to print on it. This is going to be the black cotton itself. You can choose between your print direction, a bidirectional, unidirectional. The density of the white ink is chosen by what type of shirt you put on. Light shirts such as cotton, light cottons, or even bamboo, you would use light density. Regular t-shirts, you would use medium density. Heavy density would actually be more like sweatshirts. In this case, we're just going to put on a regular t-shirt. We'll go with medium density. One of the benefits to MultiRIP GP is it gives you the ability to control your black ink and your underbase controls. You have your choice between running no underbase and no black ink for the graphic, or you can choose to run no underbase, use black ink, or put a light underbase and use black ink. I really prefer with this graphic to use no underbase and no black ink because it kind of makes things pop out a little bit more, kind of gives it a 3D effect. Also in this case you can use the auto white highlight thresholds, but if we're doing a white underbase and we're setting our own white highlights, we're going to go ahead and turn that off. Now that we have that set, we can just go ahead and hit OK, OK, and OK, and now it's going to print our white underbase. And my next thing I want to do is I want to print the white highlight layer. I'm going to click on the white highlight layer, turn off the white underbase, and this is the white highlights that's going to come over the top of it. So I'll do exactly the same thing, although this time, since all of our settings are basically the same except for one, it goes much quicker and easier. The only thing that I need to change is the white, or the layer type. We're going to change it to white highlight layer. You want to make sure you keep your resolution, your source profiles, and all that the same for each one. So now we'll turn around and go ahead and OK, OK, and OK. Now if we take a look at the RIP before we go into the colors, you'll notice that it's already sending information to the RIP itself. In fact, our white highlight layer is already sitting right there, but it won't go to the pages of printer side. The reason being is you can send as many white underbases as you want, but it will not print those white underbases or highlight layers until you send the color layer. So we'll go back into our Photoshop. We're going to go back up, turn on our RGB colors, scroll back down, turn off the white highlight. That's our colors for our graphic. We're going to go File, Print, and we're going to choose Properties, Advanced. And this time what we'll change is we'll change the layer type now to color layer, since that's the layer we're going to be dropping down. Turn around, go ahead, hit OK, OK, and OK. Now what it's going to end up doing is printing the color layer. We'll go over to the RIP side of it itself. You'll notice through the status messages itself, if we scroll down, you'll want to check to see if there's any type of error messages found anywhere. As we're scrolling through, you'll see the color layers now beginning to rip through. If we go over and look at the process jobs, you'll see our two white layers are just sitting there. They're not at the Pages to Printers tab again. It's got to wait for the color layer to get there. The color layer is sitting here in our Incoming Jobs tab. As I look at this and I know it's a 22 megabyte file that we're trying to rip right here, I'm going to pause the video until it catches up to save time. Okay, we're going to pick back up with the video. And what I want to show you is if you go to the Pages of Printers, you'll see where it already has the white ready, even before the color layer is done. That's going to allow you to begin printing before the whole file has been sent over there. That'll help increase your productivity. Once the files get sent here, you can actually view each file. This will be the underbase file that's printed for the graphic, and then this will be the color file and white highlight layer that has been printed for the graphic itself. You can look in the Process Jobs tab. You'll notice that there are 3 different files here. All of them are there. If you want to save the file, just double-click both of them, right-click over, and go to Export. It's basically how you would send a separated file using MultiRIP GP. If you have any more questions, please visit www.multiripusers.com. Thank you.